Guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're back. As you can hear, my voice is not that great. I am just now recovering from a bad week. I was sick pretty much all week since Thursday. Since the beginning of Thursday. It's now Wednesday right now. I did record a video last week, but unfortunately I lost all the video footage of the food that I made. I'm gonna leave a picture right here of what I made last week for you guys. I am gonna reshoot that video again. It's just that Lent is just around the corner and I wanted to start off very true to Lent. And today we're going to be making Tortitas de Camaron, which it translates to kind of like a patty, like a shrimp patty. So fish is what people mostly eat, or just not eat meat at all, or fish. They just eat like vegetables and stuff like that. But today we're going to be making this Tortitas de Camarones. For this recipe, you're going to be needing this. It's the shrimp powder. Whenever you buy your shrimp powder, make sure that you get this one, or not this specific brand, but make sure that your shrimp powder, you can still see the shrimp, because I have seen other shrimp powder where it's just mostly this, and it's like a pink, like a hot pink, that you can't even see that it's like a shrimp anymore. So this is how it's gonna say. It's gonna say ground shrimp, camarón molido. I got 2 packets. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use both of them yet, but you can only use one. They're 3 ounces. So we're gonna use between 1 and 2 packets of this, depending on how much egg I see it's gonna make. Between 1 and 2 packets. Between 10 to 13 chile guajillos. Now I believe these are called chile pods in English. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna leave the name right here on the screen for you guys. And I also want to remind you guys that all my recipes, or all the ingredients that I use and the exact measurements, are going to be on the description down below as well. We're going to need about 6 to 7 chile de árboles. Now these are spicy, so if you don't like a lot of spice, don't add a lot of them. The chile guajillos, they are not as spicy, so this is just for color and flavor. We are going to need half an onion cut in half and 2 garlic cloves. 7 eggs. In a pot, we're going to add a little bit of water, and then we're going to add our chile guajillos and our chile de árboles. Some people like to devein them first. I just like to put them all like that. But if you want to devein them, that's up to you. We're going to cover this. We're going to put it on the stove on medium heat. Let it boil. Once it starts to boil, you're going to turn it off, and you're going to let the chile sit in there so they can soften up. And then we're going to use this for our salsa. We are also going to use nopalitos. These are cactus. If you don't like cactus, you don't have to add it to this dish, but we're going to use cactus, nopales. I just found this at the Mexican market. As you can see, I have a lot of them just because I like nopales a lot. But within 5 to 6, you guys should be good with this amount. 5 to 6 nopales. I just really like them, so I'm doing a little bit more. I'm cooking a little bit more nopales so I can use it for another dish that I'm going to be using tomorrow. Now for this recipe, since we are going to be using shrimp, the shrimp is already too salty. So you might want to check how your dish ends up first before adding salt to it, because you may end up adding too much salt and it's going to be very salty. We're going to start by cutting our nopales. And I already have a pot right here. It has nothing inside. We're just going to add our nopales on top of that. I know people like to cook their nopales with water. I just like to cook them by themselves. They release some water. The nopales have water in them that they naturally release. So that's how we're going to cook our nopales. Okay, so we have our nopales here cut. I didn't cut all of them just because I don't want the pot to get too full. You also want to leave some space just because the nopales release this kind of like a slimy texture to it, a slimy water. Sometimes it overboils that it runs out, right? It goes through your pot, it goes to your stove. So you want to make sure that whenever you're doing this, you want to be close to your stove, checking it so it won't like splatter all over your stove. So it won't splatter all over your stove. So we're gonna leave this towards when we're at the stove cooking everything, keeping an eye on it. To cook this, we're gonna add a piece of onion and a piece of garlic, and that's it. Usually you would add a little bit of salt to this, but like I said, the shrimp already has salt, so we don't want it too salty, so we're just gonna leave it without salt for today. Okay, so now we're gonna start by separating our eggs. You want the egg yolk to be separated from the egg. Now there's different methods that you can do this. I just like to do them like this. However it works for you, use that method. Now that all the egg yolks are separated, we're gonna start by mixing it. You know this is ready as whenever you turn it, you should be able to turn it around and nothing should be falling out. That's when you know it's ready. Now we're gonna add the rest of the egg, one by one, and then we're gonna mix. You want to mix just for a few seconds. You don't want to overmix or else your eggs are going to go down. After this process, you really want to go fast from here, because like I said, you don't want your egg to go down, then it's not going to come out right. So from here, all you have to focus on is just making your tortitas. We're going to add our shrimp. That's one bag of shrimp. Now I do see that my bags they're too small, so I am going to add the other bag. So I guess you can say for 7 eggs, I used about 6 ounces of this shrimp. And whenever you're mixing it, you want to mix in a folding position. That way your egg doesn't come down, but you're still mixing it, your camarones, your shrimp on there. After this, we're gonna go to the stove and we're gonna continue with the next step. So I have the back door open of the house, I have the fan on, I have all my doors closed from the rooms, just because for the next step, I feel like it does release a lot of odor and a lot of grease on here. We have a pan, a flat pan with oil on it. We have our shrimp right here next to us. And we also have a plate with a napkin on it. We're gonna put our patties on here after they're done cooking. I have the oil on medium to low heat right now. We're letting our oil heat up. Now with the spoon, you just wanna scoop a little bit of that mixture that we just did and place it on here. As you can see, I used this oil the last week for whenever I did the other recipe. So it has a little bit of that left over. So you grab the scoop and now you're gonna place it right there in the middle. The scoops, how big you want them, it's gonna depend on you. After a few seconds of them being floating, I just turn them over. let the other side cook, and then we're gonna take them out. You will know they're ready whenever you can't see any pink in it. That means all the egg is already cooked. You're gonna place it on a sheet of paper. Okay, so here we have our nopales. We have the piece of onion and we have the piece of garlic. We're gonna cover this. We're gonna put it on medium heat. Remember, you want to be next to this. You don't want to leave this alone because it can start to bubble up and it's gonna get all over your stove. So make sure you keep an eye on this. Right here, I also have my chiles. They have been sitting here for about 15 minutes. I boiled them, and then once it got like a 5-minute boil, I turned off the heat and I let them sit here. Some of them, like this one for example, that was sitting all the way at the top, you can see, you can even touch it, the skin is not soft yet. Like this one, if you poke it, you should be able to poke it and it should be able to rip easily. This one, it's not that easy, so you want to make sure you submerge them on the water. The ones that are on top, you can bring them, the ones that are on the bottom, you can bring them to the top to kind of help those on top go down. We're gonna leave this here for about 5 minutes while I wash my dirty dishes that I have right now. And then we're gonna come back and blend this. So here we have our tortitas de camaron. We have 2 lines, as you can, there's one here and then there's more right there. So in total we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I want to say about 15 because some of them are small like this one, but about 15 of this good size ones. So it's been about, I want to say about 10 minutes since we put this to boil. You will know they're ready whenever you notice the change of a color. As you can see earlier, it was more like a green, like a bright green. Now it's more like a darker green. That means that they are ready. As you can see, we did not add any water to this, and look at all this water that's in here. This is the water from the cactus itself. So you can either turn it off right here, right now. These are all cooked, but I'm gonna let it boil a little bit more. I'm gonna keep it open. That way, all the water, all the vapor can evaporate, and all we have left is just the cactus itself. But you can just use it like this. You can just take all the water out and just leave the cactus itself. This is just something that my mom showed me how to do, and I like to do it her way. So I'm gonna keep boiling it here without the cap for, I want to say, about another 5 minutes, or until all the water is completely dissolved. Right here we have our chiles they kept soaking up for another 5 minutes. These are about ready now. We're gonna take out our chiles now. You can put it directly on the blender. My blender is a little bit tall, so you guys wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna put them on a plate and then transfer it to the blender. We're gonna take them all out. Make sure all the stems, you take them out and you don't blend this. You don't want this in your food. We're gonna blend it with a piece of garlic and a piece of onion. This is about 1/4 of an onion. And then we're gonna grab about 1 cup to 2 cups of this water where we were boiling our chiles. We're gonna blend all this together. Remember, we're not gonna use salt because the shrimp already has enough salt. We wanna make sure we taste the end result before adding more salt into our dish. But normally this sauce, you can use it for pretty much anything. This combination of chiles you can pretty much use for any Mexican recipe. If you were using something that already has salt in it, you can go ahead and add salt at this point. We're gonna blend this all together with 2 cups of this water right here, and then we're gonna be back for the next process. So here we have a semi-deep pan. We're gonna add a little bit of oil. I'm gonna move the oil around. Once the oil is a little bit hot, we're gonna add a little. You see all this right here? We have the seeds in here. That's why I didn't take them out earlier, because I knew I was gonna do this. But all the seeds are in here, and also the skin of the chiles that didn't blend good. They're also in here. Now you can go ahead and throw this away, but I'm gonna add a little bit of water just to take some of that sauce that is still in here. And also on my blender. So on my blender, as you can see, I don't know if you can completely see, but that's my blender right there on the side. It kind of has some red in it. I'm gonna add a little bit of water, put the lid on top, shake it a little bit, and then that's gonna remove all the extra sauce that was on the blender, and then we're gonna run it through here, and that's gonna take all the sauce out of here as well. Now I already used all my water that I boiled my chiles in, so I'm gonna just use simple water, but if you have more water of where you cooked your chiles, use that water instead. As you can see, I added more water, and now the side of my blender is now all clean, and all the water that was in there, the color, it's all here on the bottom with that water. That's just a little trick that my mom taught me to clean and use everything that we have. Now just keep an eye on it. You don't want to add too much water, because then your sauce is going to be too watery. It will be just a tiny bit of water. I don't know if you can tell now, but now it's the pure seeds and the skin, versus earlier when I showed you, there was still a little bit of sauce in there. So running it through a little bit of water does make a difference on there, but it's up to you however you want to do it. Now we're going to throw this in the trash, and we're going to let our sauce boil for just a bit. We're going to cover it and let it boil. Okay guys, so I know this isn't part of the recipe, but I'm gonna give you a little tip on what to do if you're sick. For example, right now I have been talking a lot throughout the video, so I'm starting to cough a lot. What we're gonna do is, on a bowl or in a little cup, we're gonna squeeze about 2 limes. As much juice as you can get out of them. So here we have our lime. We're gonna grab a little bit of honey. Now this is pure honey. I got this one in Mexico whenever I went to go visit my mom. And then we're gonna add about 2 spoons of it. If you only did 1 lime, then only add 1 spoon, but since I did 2 limes, I'm gonna add 2 spoons. With this, if you are sick, if you have the chills, you can boil a little bit of water, add some lemon drops in it, and add a little bit of honey. Drink it when you're about to go to bed as hard as you can, and that's gonna stop the chills. Now this mixture is for whenever you're coughing. So I have the lime and the honey mixed together. Now I'm gonna drink this like this. This just makes my throat feel a lot better, and I stop coughing. So if you want to stop coughing, lime and honey mixed together makes the perfect combination. It's gonna make your throat feel a lot better. We have our sauce here that has been boiling, I want to say for about 5 minutes. I did notice that I added a little bit more of the water that it needed to be. It was too watery. If you go like this, you should see that your sauce should be more of a thick consistency. Not too thick, but not too liquidy. It's just right in between. And mine wasn't. So what I did is I let it boil without the cap on for about 5 to 10 minutes. Let all the water evaporate, and it went down to this consistency, which is the perfect consistency that we want it to be. It's not too watery, but it's not too thick as well. Now from here, we're gonna add our nopales, and we're gonna add our shrimp tortitas de Camaron. We're gonna let that boil for another 10 minutes all together, just so all the salt from the shrimp can go into the rest of the food. And then we'll be right back with the rest. I'm sorry, with all this vapor of the water, you can't really see what I'm... With the nopales, make sure you remove the onion and the garlic before adding it to the rest of your dish. You guys know how I got the little piece of garlic when I was little on the lentils? I cannot do it again. So I make sure I remove everything, all the onion and the garlic from my food every single time now. When you're moving it, be careful when you're moving it so you won't rip your tortitas. Your tortitas won't come apart. Now we're gonna cover this, let it boil for about 5 minutes. Check the consistency of your salt. Make sure you have enough salt in there. And then we're gonna turn off the heat. We're gonna come back in just a few minutes. Okay, so this has been boiling here for about 5 minutes now. We're just gonna move it very carefully. At this time, you wanna check for your salt. More likely, you're not gonna need salt, like I said, just because the shrimp is already too salty. Mine doesn't need any salt. I like mine just the way it is. But if you do need to add salt, you can add it at this point. Just make sure you add it throughout the whole dish and you stir it. That way the salt can also go towards the bottom. But I really don't think you're gonna need any more salt on your dish. So as you can see, this is how it looks. Now we're gonna plate it. We're gonna turn off the heat. You guys can also eat this with a side of rice. I'm gonna leave my rice recipe right there on the bottom, on the description down below. That way if you guys wanna make it with a side of rice, it'll be really good with that. Okay guys, this is it for today's video. Don't forget to comment down below what other recipe you will want me to make next. Like I said, we're in the time of Lent, so I'm gonna be making recipes that are more towards the Lent style. But if you want me to do any other recipe, just leave it down in the description down below and I'll go ahead and make it for you. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Share with your friends if you loved it. Subscribe to our channel to be part of our family and learn new Mexican recipes every week. Last week, unfortunately, I wasn't able to post just because I got sick, and I accidentally deleted the video that I had already made. But we're gonna continue doing videos every week as long as we can. Don't forget to tag me on my Instagram page if you make any of these recipes. I hope you guys don't get sick like me. But remember that I gave you that little recipe at the end. If you have any cough, you can go ahead and use that recipe as well. And we'll go ahead and see you next week. Bye. Have a great weekend.